What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and thank you as always for clicking on this video. It is the end of the year once again, and it's time to look back at all the crap that we have seen up to date. And this is my top 10 worst movies of 2021. And just a disclosure, I have not seen every single movie of 2021. Not all the bad movies that I've seen made it to the list, which makes it even tougher because you want to throw all the bad movies on this list, but you got to narrow it down to 10. I do have, for most of these movies, I do have an individual video review. All of that will be linked in the description. So let's go ahead and start with the top 10 worst movies of 2021. Mortal Kombat first up on the list. This movie I was eager to see because I was like, okay, we have the technology now. We have everything we need to make this right. And yeah, boy, was I wrong. I mean, I prefer the 90s movie over this remake, rehash, whatever you want to call it. Even though visually it does look better, and I get what they were going for in concept. I get what they were going, but it just wasn't executed right. Especially when you have a boring, dry character like Cole. He just didn't do anything for me. He was just very huge disappointment. I really do like what they were going for with the origin story of Scorpion. I figured you might as well use that as your center of the story. Use Scorpion as the main character or somewhere around there, or this whole rivalry between Sub-Zero and Scorpion. Use that as a focus, but no, they instead it was just, I get it, it's a gaming movie, so I have to do a lot of fan service, and that's the biggest takeaway, and that's the biggest challenge with doing a movie based off a video game. So I was hugely disappointed, and hopefully, if they are planning on making more movies, they can come back from this one. Next up on the list, number 9, is gonna be The Conjuring. The Devil Made Me Do It. This was one of my most anticipated movies because I really like the Conjuring series. I thought it was gonna bring a really good closure to this series. The series that it is said by people that it kind of revived the horror genre, revived everything that's horror, because it was something based on true events, and they made it work. They got good casting to play these two demonologists, but then this one I was like, okay, it's going to do one of the most famous cases in the U.S. Ended up just focusing on something else. The lawsuit case of The Devil Made Me Do It was kind of just sidelined while we focus on who's targeting the Warrens and what's going on with the whole voodoo, who's targeting who's doing all this type of witchcraft, and the actual case that I thought I at least was coming here for was just kind of on the sidelines there, just set to the side, and there was really no focus on it, and that brought it down for me a lot. Number 8 is gonna go to the Fast and Furious saga F9. I mean, I knew what I was getting myself into. Like a lot of people, we all know what we're getting ourselves into once we go in this. So I just watched it just because I was like, okay, I grew up watching the Fast and Furious movies, so let's see how much more dumber it can get. And man, did it get a lot more stupider. I mean, we all thought it was a joke at some point when we thought, okay, what's next? Are they going to space? Yeah, they went to space. Roman and Ludacris went to space. It has been official. They went to space in this movie. And this whole talk about the fast crew going with dinosaurs or something like that, if that becomes real, I'm going to lose my mind, I think. I think I am. Coming in, let's move on. Coming in at number 7. Let's see. Oh, yeah. The Unforgivable. Man, Sandra Bullock, she's a good actress, but this movie, I don't know what. This whole movie has a really good cast. Everybody in here, they're good actors and actresses, but just the material that they were given just wasn't good. It didn't really show the capability that these actors can do. They're trying really hard. It looks like she's trying really hard to get an Oscar, some sort of award or nomination, and it's really cringy at times. The whole plot twist that this movie has, you see it coming from a mile away. You see it coming. You smell that thing like crack from 2 miles away, and you can pretty much predict how this movie is gonna turn out, and honestly, it was a huge disappointment, and I think they can do better. I mean, she could definitely do better. Let's see what's on the next list. Let's see. Number six. Oh, Justice League. This this is nothing against DC or anything, but it's like everything has a Snyder cut now. Everything has to have a Snyder cut when something just doesn't quite do it justice, no pun intended, from the original theater release. Then we have to have a Snyder cut that's somehow like a DC type of thing now. But this movie is way too long. It's 4 hours long of just uncut stuff that this was supposed to be the original theatrical release or something. I'm not even. That's what I've read, but it's still this movie seems like a lot. It's very messy, very messy. It's way too long. It's very convoluted. Is it an upgrade from the theatrical release? Honestly, I wouldn't be able to tell because I didn't see it, but I probably don't even have to see it. And I think the people that do praise this movie, it's probably because it is an, I'm guessing it's an improvement from the original, but this movie is way too freaking long. Like, I was sitting there just checking my watch constantly about this, what time is this movie gonna end? It seemed very rushed. Some characters were there just because we have to. Everything is rushed because they had to build up to the Justice League. Then this movie came out. The original even came out before we even got, I think, our Aquaman movie. Flash hasn't even had his own movie yet. Cyborg hasn't had it. So it's understandable that it had to be that long because it kind of has to not only put the actual main story of what's going on, but it has to put all these other origin stories, mainly the focus of Cyborg. They had to put his origin story there. It's very convoluted for me, and it's just a mess. Moving on. Number 5. We got Bruised. Now, this was not only starring Halle Berry, but it was also directed by her. And this is nothing against Halle Berry. She's a great actress. There's no denying that. But she kind of went a little. She chose one of the most cliches genres out there, and I get it. I mean, I seen a little bit of after the movie how she was answering a Q&A, and she apparently has personal love for the sport. I get it, but she did everything very cliche. I mean, or whoever wrote it, like, and she directed it. I know that's not an easy task to not only star in your own movie but directed it. But as I said in my movie review, it's after Rocky, I think that just came kind of a cliche type of thing to do. To all the tropes that Rocky did, that you have someone who very good at a sport, they get to their peak, they get to its peak, and then they fall off, and then they have this kind of midlife crisis type of thing where they want to get back in the ring. In this case, the octagon, because it's MMA, not boxing. They want to get back into it, and they don't believe that they can because they're obviously older now. In this case, they try to throw in the element of drug abuse, of domestic violence. That was different, but essentially is the same thing throughout the whole movie. We all know how it's gonna end. Moving on, number 4, we have The Tender Bar, and this again, I was expecting more with this movie because it has Ben Affleck, Ty Sheridan, Lily Rabe, Christopher Lloyd, and I was like, okay, it seemed like a good cast. They can bring it to the table. They know what they're doing. But this whole and it started out well. The movie started out really well paced. It's your coming of age story, but then throughout the majority of the movie, it loses focus of that coming of age because Ty Sheridan plays this character who comes from his family is a little bit dysfunctional. He doesn't have his dad around, but then his mom wants him to be a lawyer. That's not what he wants to be, but that sort of obstacles of what his mom wants and what he wants, what people want him to be, the movie doesn't focus on that. They just focus on how he just falls for some girl and he just wants to get her back and he wants to become a writer, and so that's his dream. They don't focus on that character arc where the goal is to become a writer, and they don't show anything, none of the obstacles, none of the decisions that he had to make to become a writer. They don't even focus on that at all until the very, literally, I kid you not, the very last end of the movie where he's like, yeah, well, I'm a writer now. So it was, I don't think they knew what they were doing. They didn't write this right. Number three, Sweet Girl. Good Lord. Sweet Girl, Jason Momoa and Isabella Merced. Jason Momoa is, Isabella Merced plays his daughter, and she's, I don't even know how old this girl. She's like what, 20 or something, and then but she's playing throughout the whole, in the beginning of the movie she's even playing like a 10-year-old, and then eventually moving on to a teenager, and it was just kind of weird to see that father-daughter relationship, especially when they're getting like really too close, and they're trying to portray that father-daughter relationship, but it's just kind of weird because you know she's way older than the character that she's playing, and he's supposedly like treating her as a little girl. But anyway, it's just weird, and the ending, like, oh, you sit through this movie for the very end of the movie to tell you, yeah, that didn't happen. It was actually some other character that did everything, and it's just the ending. It just retcons everything that you thought you saw, and it was what I call the Shyamalan moment, because if you've seen A Sixth Sense, it's, you kind of get what I'm saying. You thought what certain character was actually alive, but it turns out no, it was somebody else, or that certain character is dead. Number two, the card counter. I was like, okay, Oscar Isaac, cool, I like him. So let me go. Let me give this a shot. He's someone who's really good at card dealing. He goes to casinos. That's how he pretty much makes his living. He's really good at playing poker, blackjack actually, and he's just like a real good casino expert. He knows how to count cards and all that. And then he meets this kid who doesn't have anything going, so he kind of joins him on the road. But nothing else happens other than that. There's no nobody. There's no obstacles. There's no villainous type character. There's just it's just Oscar Isaac playing blackjack for like 2 hours. That's it. That's all that happens. I kid you not. And the number one movie on my list is gonna be Mayday. I don't even know if a lot of people know this movie. It was at a Sundance festival, but I got a free screener. It was an online. I don't even know if it got a theater release. This movie is the biggest like backlash towards masculinity. Is one of It's a very feminist film, and it's nothing against women, but it's just a whole movie of talking trash about men, about how crappy apparently women think we are, and the tone of this movie just has no idea what it wants to be. There's In a certain part of the movie, it just turns into a musical, and we go from a serious tone, and then we jump into a musical that means has nothing to do with this movie. This movie here just has scenes, some sort of parts of the story where it has nothing to do. It just makes no type of sense. All they want to do is show that women can do it alone. That is just pretty much putting down men. Very highly feminist film. I was bored to, not even bored to death. I was just watching it because I was like, wow, they really they really went this far. And look at the posters, it's striking, a thrill, euphoric. It is none of that. I'm telling you, watch it if you can find it. It is none of that. And that is why it is my top disgusting, despicable number one movie, worst movie of 2021. So that was my list. That was my top 10 worst movies of 2021. But I want to know from you, what is your list? Go ahead and let me know your top 10 worst movies in the comment section below. If you like this video, go ahead and smash that like button, smash the subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for watching. Keep watching this channel and keep watching movies.